attraction then. Let's look at talent attraction and the use of technology as a major factor in ensuring this transition. Ian, perhaps I can start with you, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, David. So, I mean, I suppose this is something that's definitely come on. So, I mean, when I first started in recruitment, Broadbean was considered the new greatest technology, where you could, you know, take an advert and post it on multiple job boards, and away you went. And then we moved to sort of LinkedIn and sending emails. And I think the fact is now technology's moved on into such a sense where, you know, with a variety of players that are out there, you know, Hirees, Fetcher, to name a few, is that, you know, where you put together your job profile and you know, you send it off to work, and it basically scours the whole social media platform. So anyone that has a social media platform, you know, it could be a variety of different sources. It gathers that data piece and comes back with contact information, all that. And it's a very it's definitely changed the way that you can use resourcing and the way that you can attract talent, because not only do you then look at the profiles and be able to make adjustments, because then the machine learns from it. So you can say, right, okay, it's gone off and found 500 profiles. Well, you know, let's cut it down. And then I take the top 10 profiles and look through them and say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And then it begins searching again. So it's continuously searching through the market, almost like what sources used to do, but using the power of you know, a computer that can produce thousands and thousands of computations within a matter of minutes. And so you get profiles back that meet your requirements that you can then start contacting. You know, variety, you can contact them by email, you can contact them by thing. And yes, it does sound very automated, right? But going back to the solution that I was discussing earlier, for an organization that doesn't necessarily have a big brand in the marketplace, sometimes you have to use those sort of processes to be able to attract talent, because there is a war on talent, and you have to be able to deliver that in a quick fashion. And also the fact is that you can then set out to that individual, you know, maybe they're not looking right now, but they might come back and say, you know, I'm on a contract, I'm looking in 6 months' time, right? Then into your talent pool they go, and you can contact them in 6 months' time through the whole curation. So I suppose with regard to that technology piece, social media has definitely allowed that to happen. Now, the caveat is obviously it doesn't work everywhere. You know, it works in the US, and I've seen the examples working in the US, UK, Europe, somewhat in the Middle East. It starts to fall down a little bit in Asia, and that's just relations around social media platforms. So if you don't have a social media presence, you obviously aren't going to be on there. So that is what I would say is probably the downfall from a technology perspective. But for the vast majority of vacancies and the vast majority of opportunities that we look at, it does hit the mark, and it does hit the mark pretty effectively. But I would say at least 90% of most of the vacancies I've seen, both within the contingent and perm. And that's what I've definitely seen a lot of organisations starting to do now, is that, you know, they'll be releasing roles on a perm and contingent basis. So if you're attracting candidates, then using these type of AI technologies allow you to then be able to curate your worker population. I think that's really important, because the whole methodology of putting contingent and perm separate from a TA piece, I think is what's changing really. We're moving much more to actually desks being run for both contingent and perm basis, because of the solutions we've discussed earlier today. It's, you know, the fact that onboarding contingent workers isn't as complex as it was. Onboarding permanent workers is already a well-oiled machine in that. So I suppose with regards to that talent attraction and technology piece, you know, as I say, you've got the AI technology. You know, you obviously working closely with TA functions and business operations teams, and the organisation, you know, to be able to deliver what's. So I hope that answers your question, Dave.
Yeah, good. And Dan, what support can you offer in that sort of change process, and what value do you bring as a partner?
Well, I think we, as I said, we'll take a back seat on the talent attraction piece, but certainly once that bit's done, that's where we can really come in to assist. And Ian's talked a lot about technology to help the talent attraction area, and of course we use a lot of software within our business to manage the workers and the process of the onboarding and the payroll. But I think you lose sight of the people wrapper around that at your peril. because not everyone will fly through the tunnel without sort of touching the side. So we work incredibly hard to make sure that we have multiple ways that the contingent workers can contact us as they're going through that process, whether that's on the phone, whether it's through the portals that we use, live chat. Live chat's a really, really popular method. I think a third of all the communication that we get from our contingent workers now is actually done via live chat, because people quite like the fact they can sit on there, get the answers that they need whilst they're continuing to work. Dare I say, a number of IT contractors and some professional contractors don't really want to be speaking to people. They're quite happy to sit at the desks and communicate that way. So I think you just need to have a variety of different methodologies to interact with people. And when we're also looking at engaging with these worker populations, there's also an element of a migration involved as well, where someone may move from the hirer or an incumbent supplier into our environment. That's got to be very carefully planned and thought through. Communication's really important. Yes, you'll send out some FAQs, except no one's going to read them. So you need to make sure you're communicating with them in different ways. So we're now very well versed in doing that, and we run webinars on a regular basis, just like this, but we'll do it for contractors. So when we're onboarding a new population, we'll go through processes, we'll show them on the screen, how to use the systems, and then Q&A basically, and go through those questions. And we often do that within the migration process, but then also afterwards on a regular basis as a sort of hypercare approach to make sure that those queries are flushed out. And 99 times out of 100, once you're through the first couple of weeks of that process, everyone's into the groove, and away you go. And then it's about tracking the queries. So again, we do a lot of reporting on the sort of questions that the contractors raise, which allows us to really drill down and feed that back to the hirer to say, okay, there's some challenges here with this particular element. This is what we're going to do to improve it from a continuous improvement perspective. And again, it just comes back to that data and the ability for us to be central in that position and be able to feed that back to whoever's above us in the supply chain, make sure that this candidate experience is really good and that those guys want to come back and work for that business again.